3, 2, 1. Welcome to the check-in. T and Andy here. We just got home. It's 8:30 p.m. Welcome to our week 1 check-in.
Well, let's start off this check-in with a little recap of what happened this weekend. So, we're gonna go through it quite fast. Number 1, our flight got delayed. It actually got delayed before we left for the airport. It was only delayed by an hour and a half, and we decided to still go to the airport at the same time we had planned to, because we already felt like we were probably cutting it a little bit close with the time that we were leaving at.
Weather was
iffy. It was a little bit iffy. But we did end up getting there almost
quite early.
3 hours, a little more than 3 hours in advance. And that was okay because we went to the lounge. Now, we went to line up to get on the plane at 7:30, which was the new time that we had to get to the plane. And that got delayed by another half an hour, but not officially delayed, you know, where they don't tell you it's delayed, but you just kind of stand around waiting. It was one of those. But it was okay because we were like, we don't have anywhere to rush to, it's fine. And then we got on the plane, and because, you know, Toronto and Canada, hashtag cold, hashtag winter, we had to wait to get in line for de-icing, and it seemed like the line for de-icing was incredibly long because we sat on the tarmac for another hour before we actually got to the de-icing station.
Nope. 2 hours?
Just 1 hour.
Just 1 hour?
Yeah.
So that took forever. We, I don't think we actually took off until about 9:30 or 10 o'clock or something like that.
It was pretty late.
I promptly fell asleep, but Tia will tell you all about the things that she saw.
Okay, so some of you may already know this. I do not fall asleep. It doesn't matter how tired I am. I do not fall asleep until after takeoff because taking off is one of my favorite parts of flying. But I watched our whole adventure from finally leaving the gate all the way to, you know, waiting in line in what I like to call the airplane car wash. Because that is literally what the de-icing station was this time. Normally, what we see in de-icing is like, as we're driving to the runway, they like stop and de-ice your plane for you. But no, the weather was so bad that they actually had a whole de-icing station, and they had different lanes of planes, and I'm guessing they probably tell you what lane to go in. And they had these lights that say stop and go, just like it would in a car wash.
Yep, it was exactly like a gas station, but you don't get to pick your line. They probably tell you where to go, and the planes just roll up and it says stop, then someone comes with like basically a fire truck and spray stuff on you.
Not quite a fire truck, but okay.
It's basically a fire truck. And then spray stuff on you, then you go, and then you go to a runway, and then you taxi and you take off. So that took forever.
I thought it was pretty cool though. It was an airplane car wash. I'm gonna call it that from now on.
Yeah, I woke up and then this girl's looking at me like,
I was so excited. Oh, that was the other thing though, because we got to the airport so early, and because we're flying a budget airline, you have to pay extra to choose your seats, and so we're not taking on the extra cost. We're just gonna sit wherever, you know, our check-in seat.
Because we're trying to minimize our costs.
Yeah, so we just sit wherever the check-in seat gives us. But we got to the airport so early that they actually had some seats available, and they asked us, would you like to sit together? And you know, I thought about it long and hard. Do I really want to sit beside Andy for the next 2 hours? I figured, okay, why the heck not, right? So they ended up putting us in the bulkhead seats, which are like the premium seats. We were in the very first row of the plane.
We had more leg room on that flight than most of our international 5-star airline flights, so that was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great start to the trip. I don't think either of us even cared that the flight was delayed. We were having a great time.
Well, we cared a little bit, but...
Yeah, speak for yourself.
Yeah.
I was having a great time.
Alright, so that kind of takes us into part 2 of this check-in, which is a quick breakdown of Flair Airlines. It's our first time flying with Flair, and honest opinion here, probably one of the best airlines, period. They're very generous with their what should we call it? What are those things? Carry-on luggage. We were freaking out about our carry-on because we have so much gear and they all had batteries, so they all had to come with us. So the night before we were going around like, oh my god, all our bags are too huge. According to according to their standards, it was really just a laptop bag. We got there and it was completely huge. You could put a normal sized backpack in.
Well, and we say we were freaking out because other budget airlines in Canada, at least, are pretty strict about your carry-on baggage size. A lot more strict than kind of the big name airlines that fly internationally. And because it was our first time, that's what made us a little bit unsure. But we definitely could have brought bigger backpacks.
Oh yeah, so next time we're totally gonna just pack our normal bags and be on our way. It was great. And like Tia said, they didn't charge us extra to upgrade us to the bulkhead seats. When we were delayed, Keith, I don't know his last name, but Keith, the head flight attendant, I'm guessing, guy was hilarious. He kept he kept the whole entire plane entertained. Gave us Skittles to people who were working hard getting us off the ground.
And because we were delayed for so long and sitting on the tarmac for so long, they actually gave us complimentary beverages. So because, again, it's a budget airline, you do usually have to pay extra. The prices are actually not unreasonable. It's a regular price for like a beer or coffee or some food. But because we were all sitting there for so long, they actually came around and offered everybody complimentary either coffee, tea, or juice, which was really, really nice. Yeah,
just wanted to touch on that point a little bit more. The prices were completely fair, really, for a drink. So a tall boy, which is 407 some milliliters of beer, was $7 Canadian. Charcuterie board was 12 Canadian. Pringles was $3, so you know, right in line with kind of your convenience store, I guess, prices.
Well, and any other airline, like there's other airlines that are not budget airlines that still charge that or more.
Or more, right? So really impressed by that. We, once we got off the ground as well, everything went smoothly. It was just a pleasant flight overall. Item number 3. Tia?
Alright, so this brings us to the how are we feeling portion of this video. Now, this was our first weekend away. We did have last weekend off before starting all of this. But I must say, I'm not feeling any different than a normal weekend so far. And actually, I almost feel revitalized.
Because we slept in.
Because we slept in later while we were away this weekend than we do normally. Because normally, so Saturdays and Sundays are like behind the scenes YouTuber days. Those are the days that we get the most work done. So we're usually up pretty early. We've got, you know, all the YouTube stuff to do. We run errands, we go to the gym, we meal prep. The list is literally endless. So being away, we actually slept in and caught up on some sleep while still hitting up everything that we wanted to do.
Yeah, I'm sure this is going to come back and haunt us in the coming weeks, but we have food for tomorrow, which is great. We had food all weekend, which was great. So in terms of feeding ourselves, we're doing quite well. I do need to go through a thing of laundry in after this, but I almost want to say that's about it.
I will say that pre-planning has been key. So
yes.
Having, like, if you haven't seen the actual video of us in Winnipeg, go check it out up here. But one thing that we did to try and minimize our costs and stay on track with, you know, eating relatively healthy is we actually did meal prep like we normally do every weekend, and we actually brought enough food, or made enough food that we could bring with us so that we weren't eating out for every meal of every day.
We actually did not eat out at all.
Yeah, we didn't eat out at all during this trip. And so one thing that we are planning to do a little bit better that I know we said we have food for like tonight and tomorrow,
Yes.
but I think it'd be good if we just would make a little extra food right before we leave so that when we get home from our trips, we're kind of set to go.
Yeah, because right now we just had some veggies cooking on the stove. Thank goodness we did have a leftover meal and some extra chicken that we can eat for tomorrow. But we're kind of hitting the bottom of our storage of food there. So it would be nice if we don't have to worry about it tomorrow. So I think that is something that we will try to work into our weekly schedule.
But the pre-planning in general
Yes.
was a huge help. Like I think without all that pre-planning, we would be tired today because we would have had to come home to a whole bunch of errands. We would have had to grocery shop and cook, but we took care of all of that before we actually left, which makes our lives a lot easier and stress-free when we're back.
Yep. I guess the other part of this is the gear that we brought. Our vlogging gear was awesome. It was great. We had everything that we needed. Everything was charged. Again, the pre-planning, we had these to-do lists that we ran through like 3 or 4 times throughout the week, and we made sure that we were on top of things. One thing I will say though, because we were trying to bring as little gear as possible, we decided to go ahead and pack a whole bunch of winter clothes. That was not the greatest idea. We packed a bunch of clothes and it was way too hot at the airport and we had no layers to take off, so we were both sweating. That is something we will definitely do better next time. I just by coincidence bought this sweater that I'm obsessed over, and it has worked out really well for me, so I will be layering for the future trips that we're taking.
It's not so much that we packed winter clothes, we wore the winter clothes.
Yes, actually, no, that's right.
We wore them to the airport. We wore big sweaters, like with nothing underneath.
Yeah, fleece.
And then we had our big winter coats.
Yeah, so that definitely made things bulkier and bogged us down. I think that's about it. Anything else, Tia?
I think that's it for the check-in, yeah.
Yeah, so we're feeling pretty good right now. We do have a week of break coming up where we have some family members coming in for a visit, and then it'll be 3 weeks in a row. So those weeks will really be the ones that will hit us the hardest.
Yes.
We will need to be extra prepared.
Yeah. We'll see if we're still feeling fantastic after those 3 weeks.
Okay, I will say though, I am feeling fantastic right now. We talked about it on the way home, and we feel like we're wondering whether or not we're going to have a withdrawal from traveling after these 3 months. We live in an area, we live in the suburbs, so we live in an area where not a lot is going on, and these trips coming up is definitely giving us time to explore and see new things. So we're really excited over it. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll have to see what happens.
Alright, well, I think that's it. Do you have anything else? No? So that's it for the check-in for week 1.
We survived!
And we're still feeling
great!